very good morning. You're watching the Breakfast News on Rajya Sabha TV. I'm Tina Jha. Let's get you the headlines we are tracking this morning. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to chair 32nd interaction of multi-modal platform Pragati to ensure timely implementation of projects. The Prime Minister has reviewed projects worth over 12 lakh crore rupees in the interaction so far. Supreme Court to hear a batch of over 140 petitions on the Citizenship Amendment Act. 3-judge bench headed by the Chief Justice to examine constitutional validity of the Act. Nomination process for Delhi elections ends. 1,029 candidates filed nominations for 70 seats. Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal among 200 candidates to file papers on the last day. Scrutiny of papers today. President Ramnath Kovind to present Pradhan Mantri Rashtriya Bal Puraskar to 22 children for bravery. Kerala boy Mohammad Mohsin to be awarded posthumously. 2 children from Jammu and Kashmir also among bravery awardees. And US President Donald Trump's impeachment trial begins. Senate rejects Democratic attempts to secure new evidence. Senators clash over rules. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will review the progress of various projects in the 32nd meeting of Pragati, a multi-modal platform for proactive governance and timely implementation. In the previous 31 interactions of Pragati, which is an ICT-based initiative, projects worth over 12 lakh crore rupees have been reviewed by the Prime Minister. In the year 2019, 9 projects worth over 61,000 crore rupees related to 16 states and the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir were taken up for discussion. Discussions were also held on various topics like grievances of Indian citizens working abroad, national agriculture market, aspirational district program, and infrastructure development programs and initiatives. The multi-purpose and multimodal governance platform was launched in the year 2015 by Prime Minister Modi. It helps in simultaneously monitoring and also reviewing important programs and projects of the central as well as the state governments. The Supreme Court is scheduled to hear today a batch of petitions seeking to examine the constitutional validity of the Citizenship Amendment Act. A bench headed by Chief Justice S.A. Bobde is likely to hear a batch of over 140 petitions today. The Apex Court had on 9th of January refused to entertain a plea seeking that the CAA be declared constitutional, saying the country is going through difficult times and there is so much violence that endeavor should be for peace. The top court has already issued a notice to the centre seeking its response on the issue. The centre has also requested some similar cases filed in high courts to be transferred to the Supreme Court. Addressing a rally in Lucknow in support of the CAA, Home Minister Amit Shah has said that the law will not be scrapped. In fact, he targeted the opposition parties for misleading people on the act and said there is no provision in the amended law for taking anyone's citizenship away. He also challenged opposition leaders to hold a discussion with him on the CAA at a public forum.
राहुल बाबा कान खोल कर सुन लो, आपकी पार्टी के पाप के कारण धर्म के आधार पर भारत मां के 2 टुकड़े हो गए। 16 जुलाई 1947 कांग्रेस पार्टी ने प्रस्ताव कर विभाजन को स्वीकार कर लिया। धर्म के आधार पर विभाजन को स्वीकार किया। जो विरोध कर रहे हैं उनको कि ये जहां 23% थे वहां 3% बच गए, सिर्फ 3%। और जहां 30% थे वहां पर सिर्फ 7% बच गए। कहां गए लोग? कहां गए मेरे वो भाई? हिंदू, सिख, बौद्ध, जैन, पारसी, क्रिश्चियन कहां गए? या तो मार दिए गए या तो धर्म परिवर्तन कर दिया गया। लखनऊ की भूमि से डंके की चोट पर कहने आया हूं, जिसको विरोध करना है वो कर दे, सिटीजनशिप अमेंडमेंट बिल वापिस नहीं होने वाला।
In some other news, the 2021 census will be the first census to be conducted with a mobile application, the Ministry of Home Affairs said on Tuesday. The app has been created in-house by the Registrar General of India office. The Home Ministry also said that the facility would be provided for online self-enumeration for the public during the population enumeration phase. The Home Ministry also said that the confidentiality of data is guaranteed by Census Act of 1948, along with a penalty for both public and census officials for non-compliance or violation of any provision of the Act. The ministry had on Friday organized a half-day conference of the state chief secretaries and the Union Territory administrators on Census 2021. The Union Home Ministry has approved creation of 2,000 posts in the CISF. The move is aimed to boost its strength to effectively guard vital installations, including the airports, atomic installations, metro networks, etc. With the sanctioned posts, from constables to the inspector level, the CISF can raise 2 more battalions with 1,000 personnel each within the next 2 years. The government is also all set to hand over the security-related duties at Srinagar and Jammu airports to the CISF by the end of this month. The Central Industrial Security Force guards about 60 civil airports in the country and has an elite VVIP security wing under its command, which is called the Special Security Group. And news now related to the upcoming assembly elections in Delhi. Tuesday marked the last day of filing nominations for the upcoming assembly elections in Delhi. Several top contenders across the 3 major political parties of the Aam Aadmi Party, the Bharatiya Janata Party and also the Congress filed their nominations on the last day. A total of 1,029 candidates, which include 842 male candidates and 187 females, have filed their nominations for the polls to be held on 8th of February. The scrutiny of nominations papers will be done today. Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal, who is contesting from New Delhi seat, filed his nomination papers on Tuesday after waiting for over 6 hours. The Aam Aadmi Party alleged that the nomination process of Arvind Kejriwal was deliberately delayed. However, the Delhi CEO office rejected the claims and said a set procedure was followed. The delay was caused due to the huge rush of candidates on the last day of filing nominations. So Arvind Kejriwal, in fact, filed his nomination papers on the last day. And as we told you, he had to wait for more than 6 hours. The Delhi CEO office said that, due procedure was followed in the process of filing nomination, and over 200 candidates filed their nomination. The top BJP leadership, including newly appointed President JP Nadda and Home Minister Amit Shah, reviewed the party's Delhi Assembly election-related preparations on Tuesday, hours after the nomination process for the election ended. General Secretary Organization B.S. Santosh and Delhi BJP leaders, including Kuljit Chahal and Rajesh Bhatia, were present in the review meeting. The senior leaders reviewed the campaign of the party as well. Time for a short break here, but more news and updates will continue on the other side. Do stay with us.
The budget we have on science has actually not changed at all as a percentage of the gross national product. It has remained about oscillating between 0.7 and 0.8%, or I don't know how many years, decades. For several decades, it has not changed. Of course, the GNP has changed, and therefore, to that extent, the money is also moving. But it's nowhere near what the United States, Europe, South Korea, Chinese, Japanese spend. Now, if you don't spend that money, you will not be able to get to that league very fast. So I do think that that has to change.
Among the inseparable identity of Delhi, Qutub Minar has stood by the test of times and elements. Struck by lightning a few times, the 240-meter star suffered damages on its top story. Firoz Shah Tughlaq and Sikandar Lodi had commissioned the repair under the rule, but the damage most remembered was the one in the 19th century, where an earthquake had damaged the topmost story in 1803. The responsibility of the repair was given to a British officer, Major Robert Smith, who had placed a pillared cupola on the top of the minaret. After massive criticism, the then Governor-General Harding ordered the cupola to be removed. It was reinstalled at the ground level to the east of Qutub Minar. It still remains there, known as Smith's Folly.
Nepal has undergone many transformations.
So what is the social situation now?
At least minimum 33% women will be member of parliament.
What is the situation of Madhesis now?
They are in the government, they were in the government.
Do you feel somehow or other you are being trapped between two, large nations, India and China?
We are not trapped. We are lucky that we are bordering with two great countries.
Watch Indian Standard Time. Exclusive interview of Nilambar Acharya, Ambassador of Nepal, only on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. You're watching Breakfast News on Rajya Sabha TV. Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal said India is working on more equitable terms in its trade relationships with various countries. Speaking at the World Economic Forum Annual Meeting 2020 in Davos on Tuesday, the minister called for greater cooperation among countries to realize the huge growth prospects in the Indian Ocean region. Referring to India's withdrawal from the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, that's the RCEP, Piyush Goyal said that trade cannot be dictated by diplomacy. Goyal also said India is committed to safeguarding the interests of its people while also welcoming investors from across the world. Addressing the Strategic Outlook session on the Indian Ocean Rim, Piyush Goyal said that India has contributed the least to global warming but is still being very responsible on fossil fuels.
Robust framework available in the RCEP discussions. It was very difficult for India to commit ourselves to that kind of a regional comprehensive economic partnership. I think for the first time, India has demonstrated that trade will not be dictated by diplomacy. Trade has to stand on its own legs. Trade has to be fair. And diplomacy will take care of itself through diplomatic channels.
Union Electronics and IT Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad inaugurated the second edition of the NIC Tech Conclave on Tuesday. And addressing the conclave, he said that Digital India should mean technology from the classes to technology for the masses. He added that Digital India is designed to empower ordinary Indians with the power of technology and also to bridge the digital divide and bring about digital inclusion. He further said that technology has become the biggest enabler for governance, which is transformational in character. He also expressed hope that India is capable of becoming a big center of data refining and asked National Informatics Center to work towards this.
Financial inclusion, supplementing digital inclusion is going to be the roadmap for future. And by financial inclusion, I mean, in my postal department, we have a huge network of postal services across the country. Now, my postal payment bank has been launched with the involvement of the postman, the banking correspondent, and the open source available. How, on one mobile, we can have services of all the banks available. That is my ambition for India.
22 children have been selected for the National Bravery Awards 2019. President Ramnath Kovind will present the Pradhan Mantri Rashtriya Bal Puraskar at a ceremony at Rashtrapati Bhavan today. The names of the awardees, 10 girls and 12 boys, were announced by the Indian Council for Child Welfare on Tuesday at a press conference in New Delhi. 16-year-old Mohammad Mohsin from Kozhikode in Kerala, who drowned while saving 3 of his friends in the rough seas in April last year, has been chosen for the Abhimanyu Award posthumously. 2 youths from Jammu and Kashmir and a Karnataka boy who guided an ambulance during floods in the state are also among those chosen for Bravery Awards this year. The National Bravery Awards were started by the ICCW in 1957 to recognize children for their outstanding deeds of bravery and meritorious service, and also to inspire others to emulate their example.
I'm very proud to get this Bharat Award, and I'm the first Keralite to get this Bharat Award after 62 years, because Kerala didn't get the Bharat Award in bravery, the field of bravery.
बहुत ही खुश था और दुख भी लग रही है क्यों 10 मर गया 55 था 45 उधर हो गई और 10 मर गई तो बहुत ही दुख लग रही है.
Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu on Tuesday addressed the convocation of Vikramasinghe University in Andhra Pradesh's Nellore city, stressing the need for improving the quality of teaching and also research in institutions. The Vice President called upon the universities to change the existing education policy. He asked educational institutions to include India's culture, heritage, as well as the rich history with life stories of great men and women who shaped our country.
The quality of teaching and research at present in many of the universities in the country is lagging behind compared to developed countries. This is evident from the ranking of Times Higher Education World University Rankings 2018. None of the Indian universities have figured among the top 100. This underscores the imperative need to reorient the education system and improve the standards of teaching in our institutions of higher education. Education system should not only be focused on academic excellence, but develop the students into holistic individuals. The education policy must also focus on teaching India's culture, heritage and rich history and life stories of the great men and women who shaped this great nation.
Expressing concern over the low public expenditure on research and development in the country, the Vice President urged the private sector to collaborate with universities to invest more in research, development as well as skill training. Pointing out the adverse events of climate change and also global warming, the Vice President also spoke about the devastating bushfires in Australia recently. He urged universities to involve the students in campaigns for the protection of the environment.
Research and development in India is not up to the expectation. We must focus more on that. USA, Israel, Japan and Korea and even China, they are moving ahead. India's expenditure R&D has almost stagnated. One important reason for this is the negligible share of the private sector in the investment and research and development. So I appeal to the private sector to join the research also in a big way. Nature, culture, together for better future. You take care of the nature, nature will take care of you. Sun, moon, water, light, air, land, all are lovable things. But we are not taking care of them. That's why they are
fury, sometimes cyclone, sometimes tsunami, sometimes flood, sometimes drought. This is the weakness of our system. We must take care of that. Love and live with the nature.
China has warned that a SARS-like virus could mutate and spread as the death toll rose to 9 and the number of cases reached 440 across the country. The new coronavirus has caused alarm for its similarity to SARS, which is the severe acute respiratory syndrome that killed nearly 650 people across mainland China and also in Hong Kong in the year 2002-2003. The National Health Commission Vice Minister Li Bin said the illness is transmitted via the respiratory tract and there is the possibility of viral mutation and further spread of the disease. The World Health Organization will hold an emergency meeting today to determine whether to declare a rare global public health emergency over the disease, which has also been detected in the United States, Taiwan, Thailand, Japan, and also in South Korea. And let's now get you some news about environment and climate change. Agriculture is largely affected by climate change, putting food security at risk across the globe. Farmers are already dealing with the effects of a warmer world, crop yields are affected, soil is being degraded, and the occurrence of extreme weather events globally is increasing. Adaptation and smart agriculture are crucial to deal with such factors in a way that they do not affect food security. The Center for Tropical Agriculture and scientists from Colombia have created an open access data set which is used mainly for agricultural research, specifically on crops that are significant to food security and incomes like rice, coffee, cocoa, and maize. It has already been used in 186 countries to create adaptation strategies for agriculture. On to some weather news now. Dense fog and cold wave engulfed the national capital region today. The fog triggered traffic snarls at several places across the city in the wee hours. Delhi recorded a minimum temperature of 7 degrees Celsius this morning. At least 22 trains have been running late by several hours due to the dense fog in different parts of northern India. According to the Met Department, Delhi NCR may not see relief from the winter chills anytime soon, as another western disturbance is likely in the last week of the month that will further bring down the mercury in the national capital region. Over to some sports news now. The third Khelo India Youth Games will conclude today with a gala closing ceremony at the Sarju Sajai Stadium in Guwahati. The final matches of boxing, football and tennis will be played today. Swimming and weightlifting events will also be held. In the medals tally, Maharashtra continues on top with 238 medals, which includes 75 gold medals. Haryana is at the second place with 58 gold medals, while Delhi is on the third spot with 35 gold medals. And before we wrap up the bulletin this morning, let's take a look at the weather conditions in different major cities of the country. Thank you for your time.